If you have ever wanted to build a beautiful production-ready website without touching complex code of any type, or if you've actually spent hours trying to get your user interface components or deployment working, then today is going to make your life a lot easier. Because in this very video, I'm going to be comparing 5 of the most powerful AI website builders. So we have Lovable, we have Bolt, we have Cursor, Replit, and Base44. Now I'm going to be showing you exactly what each tool can do using the same prompt, the same structure, and the same testing criteria to keep things fair and transparent. Now we're going to look at the ease of use, we're going to look at the features, we're going to look at the customizations, speed, output quality, pricings, a full summary table, and I'll give you an inclusion for each tool, which one is truly worth your time depending on your skill level and goals. Now, quick disclaimer, all these tools have their strengths, but not all of them are great at building actual websites. So in this video, I'll tell you which tool really works well and which ones don't in complete detail. And if you do want to make sure that you want to use these tools for yourself as you go on in the video, do make sure to check the link down in the description below where I'll give you a free trial sign up link for all of these platforms. Now, basically, without further ado, let's jump straight into it. Now, for the overview, let's start ahead with Lovable. Now, Lovable is an AI builder that creates full-stack, production-ready websites instantly. Now, it's extremely fast, the layout looks clean, and everything comes with deployment included. Now, a small limitation for Lovable would be that for very advanced animations or complex layouts, you may still need to make a few manual tweaks, okay? And obviously we're going to see that forward in the video. Now, Bolt is more of an AI-powered coding environment. It generates multi-file React projects, backend logic, and complex structures. It's not exactly the most beginner-friendly, and the user interface can feel a little overwhelming, and the output often requires manual debugging, as we will see as we move on. Then we have Cursor, which is basically an AI pair programmer, which is great for improving, editing, or expanding any types of code that you have. It's not exactly an instant website builder. You will be doing plenty of manual coding, organizing files, and refining components. Then we have Replit. Now, Replit is a browser-based coding platform with an AI assistant on top. Now, while it's easy to use, design quality is basic. Sites generated look plain and require lots of manual polishing. And finally, we have Base44, which is a powerful AI app and website generator that outputs very clean, modern production-ready layouts. It's fast, it's simple, and gives you a polished result with minimal effort. Now, one thing I will say that the template variety isn't as diverse yet, though the quality of outputs is excellent, and we're going to see all of that as we go on. Now, do make sure that before we jump into the actual demo for all these 5 platforms, I've placed free trial links for all 5 tools in the description. You can open them right now and follow along as we test each one with the exact same prompt. Now, the prompt that I'm going to be using is create a modern landing page for a productivity AI tool with hero features, pricing, and contact sections. Okay, so that is my prompt that I am going to be using for all of the softwares. So of course, let's start with Lovable. Now I paste the prompt, and once we go ahead and enter this prompt in, as you can see, within a few seconds, it's going to bring me to the main generator. Now, Lovable generates a complete polished landing page, and as it goes on, it keeps on editing it. And of course, it shouldn't take a lot of time. It's simply going to go ahead and see all of the things that you need. It's going to create a general mind map around it, and then it starts writing in the code. So while this goes on, we're obviously going to move on to the next software, and we're going to see all of the outputs in the end, where we're going to see how it's structured everything. Now let's move over to Bolt AI, where we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go ahead and paste the same prompt, create a modern landing page for a productivity AI tool with hero features, pricing, and contact sections, and we're going to hit build now. Now, of course, whenever it comes to signing up, you can go ahead and sign in with your Google. You can sign in with your GitHub. It shouldn't take a lot of time. Now, I personally am going to go with my GitHub, so I'm just going to hit sign in. And once we do that, just go ahead and authorize things. And once that is done, you are redirected to Bolt, where it will start creating your code. So as you can see, Bolt's going to do the same thing. It immediately goes into the thinking process where it sees what you require, what you need. And obviously, as that goes on, it slowly generates all the things that are needed for your website. Okay. Now, beginners might find this whole structure a little overwhelming. You just have to know how to adjust components, clean up code, and fix occasional issues. So obviously, once the output is done, we're going to go ahead and see this later on. Then let's move over to Cursor. Now, Cursor works more like a developer partner, all right? For Cursor, what you have to first and foremost do is you're going to have to download it, because Cursor is basically a desktop application. Now you can go ahead and just paste in the prompt over here and add it, but you will have to download the Cursor agent, because without that, Cursor will not go ahead and generate the code for you. So just go over to the Cursor setups. What we're simply going to do is we're going to wait for Cursor to fully download in, and once that is done, let's go ahead and see what Cursor looks like. Now, once Cursor AI is downloaded, it's going to open up a code generator like this. And what you're simply going to do to generate a prompt is hit Control and K. Now, once that is done, what you're simply going to do is you're going to come over here and add in your prompt. And once you've done that, simply hit Generate. And as you can see, it goes ahead and starts generating. Now, it creates components step by step. It's fantastic for refining code, but the workflow is slower and a little more technical. So once everything is done, I'm going to go ahead and run the terminal later on. For now, let's go ahead and move over to Replit. Now, what we're going to do is do the same on Replit. We're going to come right here and add in our prompt, okay? And what you're simply going to do is you're going to start generating with AI. Again, go ahead and do the same step and process. Continue with your GitHub or even your Gmail. And once you have authorized everything, it's going to take you straight into Replit, where it's going to start generating the code compiler that you have asked it to. All right. And we're going to see how Replit will generate a simple HTML CSS layout. It's pretty easy to understand. It's very beginner friendly and works well for learning. Now, this is what the actual builder will look like as it is going and creating your project. Just a lot like Lovable and Bolt's main frames. So once it is done, we're obviously going to come back to it and see what product it has given us. Then moving over, we have Base44, all right, which is obviously last but not least. So we're going to do the same. Come right here, paste the prompt, and we're going to hit enter, okay? Now, in past experiences, I will say that Base44 generates one of the fastest and cleanest outputs. So obviously, while this generates, it should be done in a few seconds. Obviously, we're going to come back to it and talk more about it. But once this is being done, we're going to go ahead and head over to Lovable. Now, here we have it. I pasted the prompt, and Lovable generated a complete polished landing page. Now, the hero section looks really modern. The spacing between everything is perfect. The components are consistent, and all the CSS right here is beautifully structured, and you can actually go ahead and see the code right here in this section that you can alter if you want to. Now, of course, you can go ahead and get a full checkout of the preview, and you can get a full code base plus one-click deployment, which is basically visual editing, where you can just go ahead and click anything you want to edit. Okay, and once you click on it, as you can see, you get full workaround of changing it. Now, moving on, I will say that one small weakness is that advanced transitions may require manual tweaking. Now, generally, I did not add any, but things like when I scroll down and something pops up like these, now these are a little choppy, so you might want to manually tweak them, but it's pretty good and it looks really nice. All right. Now, moving on, let's go ahead and check Bolt. All right. Now, Bolt, as you can see, is the most, you could say, time taking in most of these, because instead of generating your very you could say plain and simple things on a multi-file project, it generates a multi-file React project which is detailed, modular, and logical. Now, obviously, this kind of work is great for your developers, and it creates proper versions of it. It creates multiple files of it, as I told you previously. So, as you can see, it goes ahead and tells you what everything needs to be done, what the plans are. And once versions are completed, it just goes ahead and starts previewing them for you, okay? That's the best part about all of this. And another great thing about Bolt will be that beginners don't really have to go ahead through a lot of hassle. The structure for them, the general code structure of how things work, will be slightly overwhelming because look at this. The code is crazy and there's no proper color distribution between the codes. You know, like in Lovable, we have all the different color distributions for different code lines. In Bolt, you can see most of them are just monotone or just two separate colors for everything. So that can be confusing for some users, but generally, the structure is overwhelming. Apart from that, you just know how to adjust components, clean up code, and fix occasional issues. Now, again, as you can see, the general preview will take you a lot of time, but if you have developer knowledge, obviously you have quicker ways of publishing and creating the code. So while Bolt's code keeps on generating, we're going to move over to Cursor. Now, Cursor, as you can see, as I told you, is a developer partner. You paste the prompt, and instead of generating a full site, it creates components step by step. And obviously, it's not exactly something that's going to generate you a proper terminal, but it's fantastic for refining code. The workflow is slower and more technical, but generally, if you're a code geek and want to get your codes fixed, this is pretty incredible. And, the limitation on this is that it is not a website builder, it's simply a coding assistant, as you can see. So the prompt I pasted gave me all of this code. Now, moving on, we're going to go ahead and check out Replit. Now, Replit right here, as you can see, will give us all these things where it's going to say, I'll include the following features, etc. And once all of that is done, what Replit does is it says, I've created a featured list based on your request. If everything looks good, we can start creating. Now, you can either go ahead and get a design prototype, or you can build the entire agent app that you want. Now, obviously, personally, to create a whole agent app, that will take you around an hour or two to, basically go through all of that. But I will say that the working features of the application or the agents that you create through Replit are not to be taken lightly because they are pretty well off. Now, while Replit finally goes ahead and adds the finishing touches just like Bolt, we're going to go ahead and discuss Base44. All right. Now, as you can see, as I told you, Base44 generates one of the fastest and cleanest outputs for us. All right. The design is really modern, the spacing is professionally done, and the code is extremely tidy that you can check right over here through either the actual user code line, or you can go over to the dashboard where you can get the whole general code lines over here, and you can also get the back end of everything. But generally the code will be here. Like, let's say I want to go ahead and see the landing page codes right here. I want to see the home page code right here. Then there's components like the hero, etc. All those codes can be found here. Now, this is great for quick production level results. Now, a small limitation on this, the layout variations are still growing and obviously can get better, but this is your general Base44 website. Now, moving on to Replit, we can see that the website is good to go with a good HTML and CSS layout. It's easy to understand, very beginner friendly, and works well for all the learning. The design does look plain, the spacing is pretty basic, and the styles don't compare to other tools. So the limitation, I will say that the output often feels outdated and requires a lot of manual designing or redesigning. And finally, let's go ahead and check Bolt's output. All right. So, multi-file, React project, detailed, very modular and logical, which is obviously very great for developers. But beginners might find the structure pretty overwhelming. You have to know how to adjust components, clean up code, and occasional issues. It's not exactly polished out of the box, and it requires a lot of developer knowledge to go ahead with. Now, the core criteria for all of these, I will say that when it comes to ease of use, Lovable and Base44 are the easiest because you get instant full websites, okay, to just go ahead with and start with proper databases going on in the background for Lovable and for Base44. Replit, I will say that it's easy, but it is pretty basic. Bolt, on the other hand, is very technical, and obviously we have Cursor, which is the most technical out of all of this. Then moving on to feature set, Lovable and Base44 have strong full stack generations to work with. Bolt is very strong, developer focused, and has pretty good features. Cursor is great for all of the coding workflows, and Replit has quite a limited feature set. Obviously, when it comes to customization, Lovable, I will say, has excellent code level customizations. As you can see, you can use visual edits right over here, and you can also go ahead and change the code by yourself. Then same goes with Base44 with visual editing options. Moving on from that, you can also go ahead and change codes, which is pretty good. Then Bolt and Cursor have a lot of high customization, but only for proper full-fledged developers. And then finally, we have Replit, which has limited without all the manual coding. Then the time taken, the fastest were definitely Lovable and Base44 that gave us instant generations. Then moving on, Bolt was slightly on the medium side, and the slower ones were Replit and Cursor. Then moving on, the output quality, obviously we can see Lovable's output quality was out of this world, where we could see all the great designs that it gave us. Then moving on to Base44, very modern, very polished, and obviously production ready. Same goes with Lovable. Then we have Bolt, which is pretty strong, pretty modular, but more developer focused. Cursor obviously depends on your skill level and not exactly a website builder, more of a code developer. And then we have Replit, which is pretty basic, pretty textbook, pretty straightforward design, not the greatest, but it does the job. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the pricing for all five products. Now, Lovable's pricing makes the most sense. Now, if you want to, get into a ready-to-use website without hidden friction, you're paying for clean output, instant deployment, and minimal rework. There are no confusing usage limits, and you don't feel punished for actually using the tool. Now, for creators, freelancers, and businesses, this pricing feels predictable and absolutely justified. Now, the key plan that Lovable provides is the Pro plan for $25 a month. It's designed for extremely good and fast moving, where you get tons and tons of integrations and a lot of great usage with its AI features, moving to editing websites, creating different workflows, and even getting good databases. Now, you also get the annual plan with Lovable, which saves you $50 on the Pro plan and $100 on the business plan. So you can also check that out if you want a discounted price. Now, the key takeaways for Lovable is that you pay and you get a fully finished product. Now, let's move over to Bolt. Now, Bolt's pricing becomes expensive very quickly if you're actively generating projects, of course, because its main usage based is cost scaling up fast, especially when you're iterating or debugging. On top of that, you're paying developer level pricing for a tool that requires a lot of heavy manual work. So you can also check out its plans. The key plan is the Pro plan for $25 a month with great features to work around with, obviously along to its pricing, like getting proper token limits. Okay, so there is no daily token limit when you work on a plan. Moving on, you don't have a lot of website hosting issues, but of course it is a developer level tool, so the working will obviously go into the developer space. Now, you can also check the yearly plan for Bolt as well, where you get quite a good discount of 10%. So you can go ahead and check that out for yourself as well. And obviously, the key drawback of Bolt is that you're paying more, but still doing a lot of the things yourself. Now, moving over to Cursor. Now, Cursor is quite affordable, but only because it is not exactly a website builder. You're essentially paying for an AI coding assistant, not a finished product. To get real value, you must already know how to code and how to assemble a site manually. It does have 4 plans. You have the free plan, the pro plan, the pro plus, and the ultra. Obviously, the pro plus is the key takeaway plan for $60 a month. You get great features like automatic AI suggestions and all of the other things when it comes to your proper coding manuals. You also get the yearly plan, but the yearly plan only affects the Pro plan, not the Pro Plus plan. So obviously that's something to note down on. And the key drawback that I see on Cursor is that it's low priced, but low return for non-developers. Now let's move over to Replit. Now Replit looks cheap on the surface, as you can clearly see. But most useful AI features are locked behind paid tiers. Even then, the output quality doesn't improve enough to justify upgrading. You end up paying for convenience, not results. Now, the key drawback to it is that it has affordable plans but pretty basic outcomes. You get 4 basic plans. The key plan is Replit Core, which is $20 a month, but on the monthly tier, it's $25. On the yearly, you can save around $60 for yourself. And the core does give you a lot of great features when it comes to working around with it, like great integrations, proper modeling of the AI when working on the website. Then finally, we move over to Base44. Now, Base44 strikes a strong balance between price and output quality. You're paying for speed, polish, and production-ready results, not experimentation. Now, unlike tools where pricing increases as complexity increases, Base44 feels stable and fair for what it delivers. You have 5 basic plans: the free plan, starter, builder, pro, and elite. Now, the most popular plan is the builder plan, which is $40 a month on the yearly plan, but on the monthly plan, it's $50 a month, and it obviously gives you great features like a lot of integrations, back-end coding functions, and in-app purchases with great database working. So you can also check out the yearly plan, which saves you 20%, which is pretty good. And the key takeaway for Base44 is that you get strong value if you care about visual quality and speed. Now, once we've gone through the whole pricing bit, I have created a summary table for you guys to let you know what I think about all of these products all together with the different criterias. So the criterias I've added are ease of use, output quality, feature set, customization, the time taken, and price value. Now, for ease of use, we have Lovable on 4.6 out of 5. We have Bolt on 2.5 out of 5, Cursor on 3 out of 5, Replit on 3.2 out of 5, and Base44 or 4 on 4.7 out of 5. Okay. Now, visually, you can see that when it comes to ease of use, Base44 does take the win. Lovable does not fall too far back behind, but obviously there are slight you could say technicalities, which gives Base44 the upper hand on when it comes to the ease of usage. Then moving over, we have output quality. Now for output quality, we have Lovable on 4.7, Bolt on 3.8, Cursor on 3.2, Replit on 2.5, and Base44 on 4.8 yet again. So Base44, again, I'd say best output quality out there with the greatest, you could say, features to work around with when it comes to the output. Very clear, very nice. Same on Lovable. It has a very good output according to our prompts, and it does give you all the features you exactly need. Base44 just does it a little better, so I would keep it slightly higher, and then the rest are as so, with Bolt obviously not giving us the best, Cursor obviously not even creating us a website, and Replit, the lowest I am on Replit is because Replit gives you the most basic output. So that's why when it comes to output quality, I don't give Replit a lot of credit for it. Moving over to feature set. For feature set, we have Lovable on 4.5, Bolt on 4.3, Cursor on 3.8, Replit on 3, and Base44 on 4.6. Now, yet again, Base44 takes the win on the feature set because Base44 gives you a lot of different features like in-app integrations, back-end coding functions, and also live inline editing. Moving over to Lovable, it gives you the same features as well, but it does not give you inline back-end functioning. That's why I kept it slightly lower than Base44. And Bolt also gives us pretty decent features to work with, although it's not as good as Base44. I will still keep it at the 4 rankings. Then obviously moving over to Cursor, which does give us good coding features, but for a website creation, I wouldn't exactly recommend it. And Replit obviously doesn't give you a lot of features to work with when it comes to creating a website. Then with customization, the highest tier, I would give it to Base44 with 4.7 out of 5. Then we have Bolt with 4.4, Lovable on 4.2, Cursor on 3.8, and Replit on 2.8. Then, when it comes to the time taken to output, I will keep Base44 and Lovable at the top, and I'll keep them on the same line because they both gave me the output pretty quickly, and they both gave it quite instantly, so I couldn't really differ between them because the time of the output was practically the same. So they both are at a 5 out of 5. The rest, although, were quite time taking and obviously didn't give me the nicest output either, so I will keep them at the lower rankings. And finally, we come over to price value, where Base44 is at a 4.6 out of 5 because the price value, according to the features and the work you're putting in, is incredible. Then moving over to Lovable, same thing. The price is just slightly, I'd say, a little higher than the feature set it gives you, but obviously that's not a bad thing. I'm just keeping it lower than Base44 because Base44 gives you more value to work with. Then moving over to Cursor, we get pretty decent, pretty affordable prices, but of course it's not exactly a website builder, so the ranking shouldn't be that high. Then Replit is decent at pricing as well, but of course it's not the greatest, you could say, website builder, so I'm not going to really give it the higher rankings. And then Bolt obviously is not the greatest with pricing because the higher you go up on the pricing, the more the price gets. Okay, the more complexity you add into your website, the more the pricing. So this was the general updated summary of what all the products give you in a summary table. So let's move over to the final conclusions. Now, if you are to finally decide which one of these is the best for you, then I will say that Lovable is the best option if your priority is speed, simplicity, and getting a usable website immediately. You don't really need to worry about code structure, deployment, or polishing layout. It just works. Now, compared to other softwares, Lovable feels slightly more beginner-friendly and straightforward. If you want results fast with minimal thinking, Lovable is going to be the safer choice for you. Then moving over to Bolt. Bolt is quite powerful, don't get me wrong, but it's not practical for most people. Between the pricing, complexity, and manual debugging, it feels like you're going to be paying to work more. It's great for you developers out there, but not exactly a smart choice if your goal is fast website creation. And moving over to Cursor. Cursor is an excellent AI coding assistant, but calling it a website builder would be misleading. You're paying for help, not results. Now, if you want an actual website without heavy coding, Cursor simply isn't enough for you. Moving over to Replit. Now, Replit works for learning and small experiments, but it doesn't exactly scale well for real projects. Even with the paid plans, the output remains quite basic and requires a lot of redesigning. It's good for beginners who are starting off totally from a scratch surface, but it's not competitive for production websites out there. Then Base44 finally stands out for users who care deeply about design quality and clean structure. The output feels more refined, more professional, and closer to something you would confidently ship to a client. Now, compared to other softwares, Base44 gives you slightly more control and polish, but with a bit more attention to detail. So, if visual quality matters more than absolute speed, Base44 is definitely the stronger pick for you. Now, when you compare these tools head to head, Lovable versus Base44 versus Bolt versus Cursor versus Replit, the difference becomes clear. Now, I will say that when it comes to the general speed and simplicity, Lovable definitely takes the winner on that. Of course, if it goes to polish and professional output, I will say that Base 44 will take the win there. Now, if you want a proper developer Chevy tool and you have a lot of budget to back up your money, I will say that Bolt has its use cases. If you want a proper coding assistant, I'll say Cursor is the better one for you, not exactly for website building. And finally, if you want a really scratch level basic beginner website builder, then Replit is the one for you. They have their use cases, but they do demand more effort, more technical skill, and often more money while delivering less polished results. So if you're choosing based on value, time, and final output, do make sure to check Lovable and Base44 out for yourself because these are the only tools here that truly make sense. So that's pretty much about it for this video. Thank you for watching till the end, and I'm going to be seeing all of you in the very next video. Have a great day. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.